It's time for Movie of the Week.
Is it that time of the year again?
It's that time of the week again where we talk about a spooky, and this is actually a week after.
It was a week after. This is great. The first time ever on Movie of the Week.
This is actually the first time in 3 years, I think, that we've done.
This is the first time since every week that we've done.
You're right. This is Spooky of the Week that we do every single week. Yep. This week we talked about The Wicker Man.
Nicolas Cage's best film.
Yeah, I want to open this up with our butt talk, honestly. This is going to rope in all the...
Yeah, well, it is possibly the most interesting part of the film is the use of butts.
Have you done your reading on the butt thing that we're going to talk about with the Wicker Man dude?
Did you read R.J. Branham's book on butts?
It's called Cinematic Cracks, The Butts of Hollywood.
So the butts thing, you're the one that discovered this.
So yeah, after watching the movie, I was like, all right, so this movie is barely a horror movie.
It isn't, I would argue. I would say it's a comedy. And we're talking about the original one, by the way. We're not talking about the Nicolas Cage.
It's hard to talk about The Wicker Man without bringing up Nicolas Cage's movie. They're both masterpieces.
This is a review of both.
So I was kind of curious. So I wanted to do some research on it. Like why was this movie kind of considered scary? And I was reading up on it a little bit. And one of the things that I found out about the movie is that the actress that plays the girl, the one that does her little butt dance in the movie. Spoiler. This whole thing's going to be spoiling a 1970s movie.
If you haven't seen the movie, just check out the movie.
I wouldn't say that it's a movie, like if you and your girlfriend are looking for some like spooky movie to watch and you guys just want to watch.
There's literally only one spooky shot in the whole movie.
And even like the ending, I wouldn't call it scary or spooky.
It's a comedy, it's hilarious.
It's more just like a harrowing.
Does harrowing mean funny?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it means funny. There's a scene where the main character,
famous scene.
Yeah, she's trying to seduce the priest guy through a wall.
Well, he's not a priest, he's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop. Well, yeah.
But he's a very religious cop. So the main character, the main character is this cop. He comes to Colt Island.
He's a regular cop that can't get anything done because of his religion.
Christian cop comes to he comes to the island to investigate this missing girl, and when he gets there, he goes to this little inn. And everyone sings a song about fucking the innkeep's daughter.
The landlord's daughter, and when her name is mentioned, the parts of every gentleman do stand up at attention.
I'm gonna go to my room.
I'm gonna go upstairs to my room, and then she starts singing a song from the other side of the wall about fucking her.
Please come, say how do. The things I'll show to you. Would you have a wondrous sight?
And while she's doing it, it cuts back to her dancing naked, and it's this really surreal scene. And she starts doing this little sexy butt dance. But apparently that actress was already known for doing some nudities. But then when she was on set, she was like, "Oh, I don't want to like you can show everyone my boobies, that's fine, but I'm not getting my butt out. That's stupid." And so
Nothing below the waist.
They had to hire 2 different butt doubles.
So every time you see her butt or anything below her waist in the movie, it's someone else.
It is not her. Yeah.
That's
And they even hired specifically a dancer who was willing to get her butt out for the dancing scene.
Sorry about the...
It's okay. I'll get it. Give me your head!
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Let me just fix that real quick, and then we'll go to right here. Oh, there we go. That's the right one. Yeah, let's just move you. Oh, and then I gotta get my. I just gotta drag that over here. There we go. Now it's not embarrassing anymore.
I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood.
I suggested The Wicker Man, and it was mainly because, you know, we've all seen and love the Nicolas Cage movie. And Kevin saw the original Wicker Man years ago, and has for years been saying, "Oh, it's actually good. Like you guys would like it."
I really like 70s horror a lot. Like I've come through so many. I've seen a lot of 70s horror, and that was one of the ones that's just always been on the list where it's like, well, you got to see the Wicker Man if you're into 70s horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just nobody told me that it was just a comedy though. It's just a straight up comedy.
I actually saw the Nicolas Cage one first.
Same here.
We all did.
Yeah.
We all did.
At the time, I didn't realize that the whole ending that everybody talked about the bees and everything was in the extended version. Got to the end of the movie and I was like, where's the bees? I wanted the bees.
We watched it together.
Yeah,
we were both like, wait,
we were
where was
really
that
surprised,
scene?
so then we had to go back.
We had to go on YouTube. It was fucking annoying.
Where you see that scene originally.
So eventually when I did buy 2006, The Wicker Man.
Which of course Kevin owns on DVD and Blu-ray.
Shocked me though, the ending of the Nicolas Cage one. I was like, oh, if this was not a shitty movie, that ending would be really like crazy. So then when I watched the original, I tried to kind of expel that from my mind. I was still surprised by how good it was. There were still moments I was like, man, not only do I have to pretend that this is better done, this is better done.
The ending for me was not as impactful as I wanted it to be, mainly because like I knew what was happening the entire time.
I think that was my problem with it, is I know what the ending is, you know?
And that's just the sad downside with just watching it nowadays, period, for a lot of people.
Well, and I could feel where the movie's like, okay, I can understand how this movie was impactful and how people in the 70s was like, holy shit, this is crazy. But now it being like 50 years later, I'm like, oh, it's, you know, it loses that impact because other movies have done the same thing, like, you know, or other movies have been inspired by it. But with that being said, I love the end.
The ending's still really good, despite that. The reason I say...
Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ!
The reason I say it's a comedy is because there's not really tension in the movie, because at no point is the main character ever on top of anything.
No.
Like not even just like, oh, he's like starting to figure things. It's just like at no point do the enemies of the movie or like the cultists or anything feel like he's a threat at all.
No.
The whole way through. Like they all know he's a virgin loser.
Yes.
And they can smell it on him, and they all they don't find it threatening at all. And anytime he's looking into stuff and he's like, and he finds the bunny and all that, the guy just laughs at him. Like everybody just thinks he's a joke, and then he is a joke, and then they just kill him.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's really a movie about these cultists just toying with him. They're like, it's like a lion playing with like a little rat before it eats it.
Like he's so basically inept at that whole plot, because he's just coming in looking for like a girl that's missing, and they're just like, we're well past that, dude. But like, everybody knows what happened, and they're all just they don't even come up with good excuses as to why they don't know. They're just like, oh, we just don't know what happened to her. She's just gone. Even the children are doing it. Like he's just like, hey, it's so obvious that one of their students are missing. The middle seat is empty, and they're like, where was that student? And they're like, there was nobody in that seat. And they're like, he's like, there had to be.
They put a little bug or something in there.
Rowan Morrison. That's her name. Now, do any of you recognize either the name or the photograph?
No. There's your answer, Sergeant. If she existed, we would know of her.
Whose desk is that?
No one's.
Thank you.
The little old beetle goes round and round, always the same way, you see, until it ends up right up tight to the nail. Poor old thing.
Poor old thing. And why in God's name do you do it, girl?
And then the 2006 Wicker Man, there's a crow in there, he goes, oh!
Whose desk is this?
We trapped the little old bird inside to see how long he can stand it.
And then everyone's wearing masks like...
Or when he puts on a bear suit and he punches people.
What is it? What's wrong, sister?
Don't be frightened.
Thing that I will say I appreciate now about the American remake is that they do try to make the main character like he tries to fight it. He starts.
Well, yeah, so
he's not as much of a pussy loser.
That's the thing that's like Religious Cop is held back because he like shows up and they all just start taking over. I was like, he's not like fighting really at all. He's just getting taken up to the Wicker Man.
When he's standing on that cliff, I was like, just push one of them. Take some of them with you. You're dying.
But Lee's an old man.
At least just like kill some and take some with you. But he's a Christian. He's a good. He's not a murderer. He's a good.
Like that's the thing.
The thing that I think saves the movie is the fact that in the end, that's what it's about.
You can believe all you want to believe, but your circumstance is you will be burned alive by these pagans.
He calls them out on their hypocrisy, where he's like, you know, what? How do you guys know that what you believe in is true? Like you guys are worshiping a sun god, and the movie, unlike a lot of the movies that have copied it, don't give the religious cult that benefit of the doubt.
No.
There's no supernatural elements in it at all. The cult is never proved right. There's no evidence that what they're doing will work. Yeah. And I loved that about the movie. Like that whole ending it's like there are frustrations I had with the movie just being a modern audience, but like that ending tied it all together for me.
But in the 2006 one, something that they tried to do different that could have been good under the right like supervision is they tried to make the cult a different kind of pagan religion, to where it's women and they exclusively need to sacrifice a guy, and they do different things like with the face makeup and all that, and what they believe is different, even though essentially it's the same ending.
Yeah.
Like I feel like again in a better movie that could have been, oh, that's an interesting readaptation. And then Lord Summersisle in the remake is played not by a guy, but it's played by Ellen Bernstein.
And what of the true God, to whose glory churches and monasteries have been built on these islands for generations past? Now, sir, what of him? Well, he's dead. What? It's very simple.
Christopher Lee does super good in this movie.
Oh yeah, Count Dooku is
before he was famous as Count Dooku.
He always said that his favorite film role out of all of his roles was Lord Summersisle from The Wicker Man, because he was so set in his ways and he just knew what he wanted, and like he was just the most sound character. You know, he's like, because you play Dracula and they give you shit material to work with, and you just have to go and I will get vengeance for this, and like he was roped into those movies pretty much. And then the fact that he got a meaty role to play a character that talked a lot and like really had a perspective and a way of looking at things.
Like he's a fleshed out character.
He's a fleshed out character, and so he always said I had the most fun doing that.
I said this when we talked about Apostle last year, but like one of the things I loved about that movie and this movie is that you can clearly see the logic behind the cult and like kind of how it was formed. Like it's thought out where it's like, well, why is there a cult? It's like, oh, this guy's grandfather bought the island. Like there was some good luck. They started attributing it to the sun god, and like now people believe it. And there's like a consistent. It's not just like spooky evil cult that believes in evil for no reason.
They bang a lot, so people they get on board with that because they're just like, well, if you get to just bang all the time,
it's also like relatively grounded in real, May Day or the summer tradition where it's like, yeah, they do have some days where like
it's so offended that like the kids are learning all that stuff, like, and he's just like, forget all of that. He just comes in, he's so upset by everything, and the reason I say it's like a comedy is because he really doesn't get anywhere with the case. Like his initial goal, like he doesn't get close to solving the crime at all.
He's a terrible detective.
Yeah, he's a bad detective.
And they're just toying with it, which I would agree. Like it is comedic. It comes out like the entire time when she's just singing, she's like, "Come get my pussy," and he's like, "Oh no!"
Please come.
Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ!
Say
oh my God!
The whole time he's so easily flustered, and he's just so upset with the society, and he's just like, I'm a policeman, and they don't respect it. They don't respect his authority at all. I love that shot at the very last shot of the movie is great.
Oh, when the thing
I don't know if they just did it a bunch of times, and they spent the money to build a Wicker Man over and over again, or if they just got lucky.
They probably set it up so that when it burned, it fell that way.
That's true, yeah, probably. Because it just it's burning, and his head is just like sad, slumped over like that, and just falls right over, and the sun is revealed. Yeah. I was just like, that's such a good shot. Yeah, that's so good.
Shot, dude.
The crazy thing is all the posters, like for the original the original 70s posters, if you look them up, it literally is just the Wicker Man on a hill with the sun coming from behind the head, and just is the Wicker Man, and that's it. And on the whole movie, there's no mention of a Wicker Man. Like,
well, that was something that while I was watching it, I had a problem with, was just because like it's not like a problem, but it's like the same thing with like Planet of the Apes or anything like that, where it's just like this thing that should be a reveal in the movie is just so, like, before you even see it, you know you know there's gonna be a Wicker Man. It's called the Wicker Man.
I don't think the title itself.
The title itself, no, but like the fact that there's a big old
they always
Wicker Man
market it with
on
a burning Wicker Man. If you can see this movie without seeing the poster, knowing how the movie ends,
you're just like, why is it called the Wicker Man?
And
is he the Wicker Man?
At least in the 70s poster, the Wicker Man isn't on fire. It's just a Wicker Man.
Like, I like the Wicker Man as a title because it works as a double entendre, because it's like, oh, the you know, the main character is kind of a Wicker Man. He has these beliefs, but they don't protect him. He burns up just the same.
Yeah. It's one thing if they didn't have a Wicker Man at the end, like, you would still be like, oh, I get why it would be called the Wicker Man.
Well, they would still have had to have some scene where a kid was making a Wicker Man, and it was like,
yeah, they're all fans.
But yeah, anyway, it's a good 70s movie. Here's the thing though, if you're looking for a spook, if you and your girl or you and your guy, you're looking for some, I'm progressive, you're looking for some like, hey, we're gonna snuggle up, we're gonna watch a horror movie.
It is that time of the year.
We just watched Annabelle 3 and we thought it was sweet. Like, you're one of those people, you're not going to like this movie.
This movie is not spooky, it's not really, it's barely a horror movie.
No, it's
and like I said, it's more of a comedy.
The end of the movie is more horrific from like a philosophic standpoint, because the crux of the movie is your belief system protecting you. Like, the whole movie ends up being about the main character has this strong belief system that he thinks, you know, empowers him, and the cult people also have this strong belief system that guides their movement.
Which is why the ending will always work.
He just shouldn't have been such a pussy virgin the whole time, because he could have busted out of that Wicker Man. It's just like, I was looking at it, I was like, he could just break some of that.
Something the 2006 movie improves on. They break his legs and they put bees on his face.
Murder! You'll all be guilty! And you're doing it for nothing! Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey! Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah!
If you like a main character who is, like, you know, active and smart and competent and will save the day at the end, this is not that
This
movie.
is not your film.
Well, that's what, it's not just that he's incompetent, everyone in the movie except for him knows he's incompetent.
He's never gonna
he won't
figure
get
out
anywhere.
He's never gonna figure out how it got.
Dude, honestly though, Summer Isle seems like a pretty cool place to visit. Sam, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's good. It's worth checking out. Most people will probably just be bored by it, even though it's only an hour and a half.
I loved that the movie was, especially when I was watching Midsummer, because Midsummer is 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, Midsummer's super long, and it basically has the same ending.
If you're going to watch Midsummer, don't, and just watch The Wicker Man, because The Wicker Man at least has the excuse that it was made in the 1970s.
And it's half the length.
And the main character, while not being autonomous, or while being a moron, he's still autonomous.
This is also why England should have GATs for their cops.
It is a great argument of why cops should have guns.
They should just be like, haven't you seen The Wicker Man? He would be fine if he had a GAT. He wouldn't have gotten burned up in a Wicker Man, because he could just shoot Christopher Lee in the face.
If you're into 70s stuff, if you're into 70s horror movies and thrillers and stuff, then you'll like it. It's dripping in that 70s stuff.
Yeah, if you also just like
it's that slow burn and the shots go and they zoom in, like that shot when there's the hand candle by his bed. He wakes up and he goes, oh god.
Come back next week for more spookies. This month we're doing a spooky every week. Next week we're going to be talking about Devil's Candy. But then the week after that is our big Keegan pick, and that will be. We might have to watch that one together. I don't know if I'm strong enough.
Well, we'll see, man. We'll see what he picks. We could say Keegan. It could be.
No,
a good movie,
we already know. I already told you last week.
Shoot.
It's the werewolf.